Welcome to another episode of We Made It to Tuesday. I hope you guys have had a really good week. Today, I want to talk about evaluations. And I don't mean just the usual evaluations where a supervisor provides feedback to their subordinates. This is absolutely very important. I need to know if I'm doing well or if I'm doing poorly, and that's my boss's job to guide me in whichever direction he or she needs me to go. Today, the evaluations I want to talk about is evaluating our own bosses. This isn't a new concept. It's not my original idea. This was actually introduced to me about 3 or 4 years ago. I had a supervisor who wanted to do this. He called it a 360-degree evaluation, and that's one of the more commonly used terms for it. So what he did was he provided us with a questionnaire, and the questionnaire was anonymous. We answered a bunch of questions on the forms, like some of the questions were, what are decisions I've made that you agree with? What are decisions I made that you disagree with? Things like that, not just an open-ended blank sheet, because the idea is to guide us to give him information, specific feedback that he was looking for. So why is doing something like a 360-degree evaluation important? Well, let's take a business example. Let's say I'm in charge of 10 people. My team of 11 people, including me, is to produce $100,000 in sale per year in whatever product. If I achieve that $100,000 in sales, my boss just sees the number, $100,000 in sales, maybe 120,000. We went above our quota. Awesome, Leroy, good job. You and your team achieved your quota and then some. But he doesn't know exactly what it took to get to that number. And maybe I don't even know what it took to get to that number. Maybe I've been grinding my people into dust. Maybe they're miserable. All 10 of them are spent. Their family lives have gone to shit. Their life is absolutely miserable. But I've achieved my 120K. I went over the quota. Awesome. Me conducting an evaluation, rather being evaluated by my subordinates, would allow me to know, how am I getting there? What am I doing to my 10 people to actually get there? So fast forward to now. Where I work right now, I have some team leaders. And I've provided them a list of questions that I wanted them to answer about my performance. Now, I'm looking for both positive and feedback, but I am emphasizing negative feedback in the form. For example, I have a question like, list one thing you think I'm doing well, list two or more things you think I'm not doing well, amongst other questions. Now, I received one of these back last week, and it hit me kind of hard because it's very difficult to be criticized when you're working hard, or you think you're working hard, or you think you're working well. I read through the answers multiple times. Now, the person who gave me the evaluation, it was supposed to be anonymous, but he even wrote on the form, you obviously know who this is based on the information I'm giving, and that's okay. I actually have really good rapport with this guy, and so I knew that his information, the feedback he was providing me, wasn't malicious. He wasn't attacking me, Leroy, as a human being. He was letting Leroy, the supervisor, know these are things that you're doing wrong, or that we think you're doing wrong. These are some of the impressions that people are having based on such and such an action. So this is really important to me, and I'm really glad that the person was able to be so honest, because immediately there's a few things written there that I'm going to be able to change next week, and hopefully that'll provide a better impression, because it's not going to change the way we do business, but it could change the way people perceive the way I'm leading my team. And that's very important. So what? What am I trying to say here? Well, if you're a supervisor, if you have people that work for you, try this out. See what your people think of you. See if they think you're doing a good job. See if they think you're doing a bad job. Maybe you have really good team cohesion and they'll give you a glowing review, and that's great. But maybe they don't think very greatly of you, and that's really important too. Now, a few things will come of this. If you are willing to put yourself out there and say, hey, I need you to evaluate me, it'll let them know that you care what they think. Circle of trust is very important. If the people within a team can't trust one another, well, you're not going to get anything achieved. You might, but it won't be that efficient. You're not going to have a team that really wants to work together. Now, if you don't have any subordinates yourself, speak with your supervisor, see if they're interested in doing something like that. But emphasize the point isn't that you want to criticize them, but that you want to increase the trust between the team. Trust is absolutely important between a team. You can't get anything done without it. So, in conclusion, get evaluated if you're a boss. And if you have a boss and no one beneath you in your work, suggest to your boss that you evaluate them. Thank you so much for watching. If you found what you heard useful, please hit that share button below. As always, see you next Tuesday.